2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to Teaching Crypto, brand new week, and we're back at it. Hopefully, you've gotten your Voyager crypto out. If not, be patient. We're going to talk about that briefly, but today we're going to talk about recovery. Big show today, so make sure you stay tuned till the end. If you haven't done so, please hit that like, please hit that subscribe button as we want to take this channels to new level. MrFOMO, we talked about it briefly before we went on the air. Voyager briefly halted withdrawals, but it looks like they're back on. It's just going very slow, unfortunately.
Yeah, from what I understand, they're approving them one by one, manually. Basically, like processing them by hand. So it's going to take a little bit to get through it. But now that little 13-hour pause is over, I think you'll see a lot of people that are a lot less frustrated. I was myself over the weekend. My BTC got caught up as I was trying to transfer it, and I was ready to go find somebody and do some damage, but luckily it made it through.
Theoretically, of course.
Yeah, in spirit, right? But one of the important things is to remember to have patience. Being your own bank is a lot tougher than people make it sound on YouTube, right?
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I wanted to mention from Friday's video. Apparently my app on Coinbase wasn't working with Bitcoin transfers or ETH transfers, but now when I open it up, it does say that I can send Bitcoin and ETH. So if you are working with Coinbase, you can feel free to send all three of those cryptos to Coinbase. That was not, for some reason, I wasn't showing the ability to transfer.
And in case you don't know, Coinbase, a couple of things about Coinbase, and I'm not advertising here for Coinbase. I'm just talking about transfers here. You can get zero fees on your USDC withdrawals. And also, they do have a 30-day trial available right now, very convenient for Voyager customers, where there's no selling cost. There's so free buying and selling. So if you were looking for other assets as well, just briefly to get them on and on, I would not recommend having a lot of money on exchanges for obvious reasons, but it's a good place to start, at least in terms of getting that free trial, and you can buy from there and then go wherever you want. But just heads up.
Can I wait until the bull run to start my free trial? Can I wait?
Probably not.
Probably not. I would rather do it when Bitcoin is running so that I can play a little bit more.
I want to talk about recovery, and whether you were in Voyager, whether or not, or whether you're starting brand new in crypto. There's some important lessons that we learned in the last bull run that we want to share. And some of them might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people don't follow these. And the first one I want to talk about, MrFOMO, is not having exposure to Bitcoin and ETH because they're too big market caps. That's one of the big mistakes people make. And you might say, what are you talking about? Well, the first runners normally in a bull run, and when they run, they really run well for several days, and you want to take advantage of, are ETH and Bitcoin. Now, you might say, come on, these are the biggest market caps. These are not going to 10, 100x. And you're right. Neither of them are going to 100x. But there is a fallacy that you have to jump in and try to find this 100x all the time. That's not necessarily the best approach. And heck, maybe you find something, a nugget and find your 100x. But realistically, you want to have some stability in your portfolio, and BTC and ETH is a great place to start, especially at the beginning. We are really, really at the very, very beginning of this bull run, right? We bottomed out, it looked like at 15K in December, and we've gone up and down, and right now we're a little below 31K, right? Okay, you've heard me say all the time, and I really do believe this, we will see 40K BTC sometime before December 31st. Can't tell you exactly when. I don't know if we're going to hold 40K, and I really expect BTC to really rise in 2024. That's when I really expect it to kick in high gear. But you're going to see some movement now. And heck, it might get above 40K, but 40K is kind of where I feel like we're going just safely. Now, here's the thing. You want to have exposure to that 40K jump so you can take some profits. ETH, you want to have exposure so when it gets to 3K this year, and I do think it will, and right now ETH's under 1900, so you can take profits. And so it really depends. Yes, you can buy ETH and BTC and wait the next 12 to 18 months to take profits, but also there will be plenty of opportunities along the way. So you want to have exposure because those are your safest routes. I'm not saying, and this is not financial advice, that you have to obviously limit yourself to those two. This is not a Bitcoin maxi show, but to disregard Bitcoin and ETH, I think is a major mistake that some new people in crypto make, Mr. FOMO.
Yeah, and you know, if you really listen across the cryptoverse or whatever, and people talk about building portfolios, a lot of them will tell you to start with 50% of your portfolio being BTC alone. I don't necessarily agree with that, but when we talk about safety in crypto, you're actually talking about stability, and Bitcoin will have the most stability out of all of them. Ethereum will have the next most stability, right? In a market that's as volatile as this one, you want to have something that's going to give your portfolio a little bit of legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, something to stand on, so that when the other ones fall apart, you're not holding 10%.
I really think people are actually underestimating ETH, and here's why. When you see players like Fidelity get an ETH, and you see other big banks want to offer ETH, you do realize that a lot of people that are brand new are going to really gravitate towards Bitcoin and ETH at the beginning before they play with all these different kind of alts. Now, we kind of live in the crypto world, and a lot of people are comfortable buying some of the things we've talked about before, but not everyone is going to jump into Monkcoin. So just keep that in mind. Mr. FOMO, something else I want to talk about is taking profits and what that really means, right? I'm going to talk about a coin that we mentioned last week in just a bit, but taking profits, it sounds easy, but it's not, right? Because people are waiting for the coin to go to the moon. I'm going to wait till this 10, 20, 50, 100x's before I take profits. What is the reality of the fallacy of that theory?
The first of it's just gambler's logic, right? Like 100x's, especially if you're working on the exchanges, they probably don't exist for you. You know, if you are working with a wallet, then maybe going to the swaps, finding some of these coins before they hit the mainstream, then you might have the opportunity to do that. But the reality of it is, if you get 10, 20, 30%, especially now, take your profits. And you'll have a lot of people that'll tell you, but you're going to have to pay taxes. Yeah, if you don't make money, you don't pay taxes. The only people who aren't paying taxes aren't making money. If you want to make money in crypto, just put a little bit aside every time for the taxes, right?
Mr. FOMO, it's as easy as this. Don't spend all your profits right away. It's that simple.
Well, yeah, and maybe don't spend them at all, right? Set them aside, or maybe take 50% of them for you, and 50% just leave them there for taxes, in case.
But remember, if you were stuck in Voyager, you should be getting some tax documents that will pretty much eliminate. Not financial advice, unless you're making some insane gains. And
talk to your tax person.
Taxes. Now, remember last week, Mr. FOMO, we mentioned VRA, social media token. Guess what, guys? Look at the last week. Look at the run here, and we've got over, a 35% bump here. And my point is this: if you watched the show and bought some VRA, congratulations. If you haven't taken profits, not financial advice, consider it, because there will be another dip. You'll be able to get back in. Now you can hold this thing for the next 12 months. I'm not telling you can't do it, right? Because I think this coin's going to go way above what it is right now, which is 0.5 cent. Well, I mean, the market cap and the volume are insane for such a small project. When I say small, comparing it to, the big boys. But the reality is, these are the type of profit-taking activities that you want to think about doing.
Can you scroll down? Does it show you the average hold time there on Coinbase? Somewhere on my app, it shows me average hold time.
So really quickly, before we do that, I just want to market cap only 58 million, volume 12.6. That's really good. Average hold time, I don't know on this one because it's the online version, but we can look it up for our viewers. But yeah, you talk about the fallacy that you should be holding on to these coins for months and months and months while I look that up?
I mean, really, when you look at it, Bitcoin itself on Coinbase is held for less than half a year by the average person. And so that's Coinbase, right? That's not the people who are seasoned traders. A lot of those people are decent traders, but some of them are brand new to crypto.
Yeah.
But when you see a lot of these people getting in and out of these projects very quickly, you know that a lot of the smart money, that's what they're doing. And so when you look at this, my anticipation is that this is held for less than 2 weeks.
So the average hold time is not on there because it's only available on Coinbase Wallet. But I want to say something, though. This was not available on Coinbase Wallet last time. And you might say, what does it matter? Well, it does matter for new people. And so this was a token actually that was pretty hopping on Twitter. It gets a lot of mentions, when crypto, at least during the last bull run, it did. But it was not the easiest thing to get. It was available, I believe, on KuCoin, but not on the other major exchanges. Well, now you can get it on things like Trust Wallet. You get it on Bitcoin, the Coinbase Wallet, excuse me. So it's easier.
And that's something that people should pay attention to is when these tokens find mainstream places for purchase. When they find their way onto Coinbase Wallet, I would probably attribute that 30% pump to finding their way onto Coinbase Wallet, right? When they find their way onto a major exchange or you have the ability to buy them with a major wallet, you're going to see those types of pumps. So if you can get your hands on something like this, say before that happens, or right now when it's on Coinbase Wallet and not on regular Coinbase, once it moves to regular Coinbase, that was something we talked about during the last bull run, was the Coinbase pump. If you got something before it got on Coinbase and then it got on Coinbase, you had the opportunity to make more money off of it.
But you would want to sell the day before. Like, for example, Cardano did amazing the 3 or 4 days before it got on Coinbase, and then there was a dump. I mean, it recovered later. But these things happen in cycles. One thing I want to say about VRA, 1.5% of the supply has been taken off and burned this week. That was announced today on Twitter, and I retweeted that. So I just want to mention, not financial advice saying you have to buy this token, but definitely something that you should.
Isn't this the one that has a lot of whale holdings, though?
Well, yes, but I would still say this. I would.
All I want to say about that is, when you have pumps, you're going to see sell pressure. So you can see it got to that height there, and then there's a sharp decline. That's going to happen when you have a lot of people that hold big bags. You're going to see those sharp declines after quick pumps. That's another reason why you should have an itchy trigger finger with coins like Veracity.
Yeah. Another token I want to talk about, and this is the short term, not necessarily the long term, although I think this will be good in the long term too. I'm not going to give you crazy gains, but I think July, you want to think about having some exposure. And I've talked about this a lot. I'm going to talk about it to Litecoin. And here's why. The halving is coming up in August, right? And there's going to be a buildup. What I've noticed following Litecoin is every time Bitcoin shows any type of strength, and you see here the weekly here, Litecoin is showing strength right next to it. Not all the alts are doing that. If you've been following some of the altcoins, they're not all, even the ones I'm high on, have done okay, right? Eagle's done okay. Avalanche has done okay. But anytime Bitcoin shows any type of strength, Litecoin is showing strength. Now, if you got it when the SEC came up with all those tokens, they said they were securities, you could have got it in the 70s, and you'd be sitting very pretty right now, right? Ready to take profits. And so, again, Litecoin, not the sexiest token, but this would be something that I would strongly consider for a flip this summer, right? Now, not financial advice, but if we do get a Bitcoin relapse into 28, 29, and you see Litecoin head back into the low 80s and high 70s, knock, knock, that could be an opportunity, Mr. FOMO.
Yeah, and you see it moving the way that it's moving, sort of in that ascending channel. It's a pretty chart right there, right? But Litecoin, I like that it's moving to a halving, but the market cap is super high. So again, you're not going to get exponential gains out of these things. And one thing that you hit on there that I want to talk to our viewers about is when you buy, you don't need to make purchases on several different coins all at the same time. Just because you have dry powder available doesn't mean that you need to put it onto the market, right? Watch these tokens. They move somewhat independently of each other. Now they'll all kind of follow Bitcoin, but they'll have their own pumps and they'll have their own sharp declines. And so you want to do your research on the ones that you like and then keep an eye on them. And when you see them take that decline, go ahead and start DCAing in. Obviously not financial advice, right?
But that's a point. Not everything's going to pump on the same day.
It's not an all at once purchase, especially you don't want to go with all of your dry powder into one thing, right? But you also don't want to take it all and spread it all over the market in one fell swoop, right? You look at the things that you like and you find the opportunities to go in on those things when the opportunity is right.
One other thing I wanted to mention, a big mistake is chasing pumps, right? Something just pumped 25%. Let me go in. It's the opposite, right? You want to wait till things are down and then buy, because not everything's going to pump on the same day, right? So that's Cardano, right, for example, last cycle followed a very, very different path than some of the other tokens. So when people get frustrated, there was a time where people were very frustrated with Ethereum. Good morning, Micah. When people are frustrated with ETH is when you want to be accumulating. When people are frustrated with Bitcoin is when you want to be accumulating, because there will be a time to sell. Right now, it might not be the best time to go all in, because we just went recently from 25 to 30. Now, some people do think we're going to 32 to 35, and it could happen. All right. It's very hard to predict exactly where Bitcoin is going in the short term. But I'm telling you is we are not full bull just yet. I'm confident in saying that. I'm not right all the time, but I'm confident in saying we're not full bull. What I mean is we're not going to be at 35 and then 3 weeks later be headed to 50, then 60, then all-time highs in August, September. Anything is possible, but I just don't see that happening this early. One other thing I wanted to mention about a token, and this one is not as easy to get anymore because it's been delisted by a few exchanges, but anytime there's turmoil in Russia, there's a cryptocurrency called Waves that seems to do some crazy movement in 24 hours. And what we saw when the Russian story broke that there was a possible coup, Waves did a 70% jump in 24 hours. Now, not financial advice, but if you can get a hold of Waves, it might be something that you maybe consider doing just a little bit of putting your toes into the water and as well. Because
especially if you're someone who pays attention to, the global news and what's going on in Europe and in Russia, and you see the Wagner group, which is, the major portion or was the major portion of the military or one of the ones that was doing the most damage turning on the Russians, then that kind of turmoil is going to cause people to go away from Russian money. And, crypto is the next best thing, and Waves crypto seems to have the attention of the Russian people.
Yeah, and so again, we're going to keep mentioning these tokens. Now, what is your take on the VRA Wallet in today's climate of the SEC? Is it safe for you to say it's to keep their VRA in? Great question. So VRA gives you the option of holding it on their own wallet where you can earn extra APR. I'll say this. Nothing is 100% safe if it's not on cold storage. And so I would say, Micah, great question. Whatever you're comfortable putting on there, but remember, whether it's Coinbase, whether it's Binance US, which I would not touch, guys. We had someone, that and I comment on this. They went to Binance US because their Coinbase account was, I guess, hacked a few years ago, and they only got 96% of their USDC back. I mean, again, stuff like that is just not good strategy here. I would say this: be careful, right? I would, if you were going to hold a lot of VRA, I would probably not want it exposed in someone else's control. Just my opinion. Now, if it's going to be a quick flip for you, a hot wallet probably would be okay. But again, there's a risk involved. We're not going to lie. This is risky stuff. You know, there are places like River Financial where it's free buys on Bitcoin and they're cold storage for you, but then they're going to charge you 1.5% on the sell. So it's kind of, you know, or you can take cold storage in your own hands. But yeah, Mike, I would be careful with that wallet. I'm not saying it's not safe, but also it's not a guarantee either. So
yeah,
if a large amount of money that you can't afford to lose, then yes, I would be very careful.
And those kinds of things, wallets, that's akin to holding it on an exchange. And so, you know, if you're someone who pays attention to it daily at the you know, the least sign of trouble, I would move it out of there. But obviously they're going to offer you some kind of APR that's going to make it attractive because they're going to want to loan out your VRA. And that's one of the things about that, you know, that there are people using VRA to do the video streaming, you know, so there are people who do need to use that to function. But I after the trauma we went through with Voyager and what people are going through with Celsius and FTX, I would say that it's probably the best advice that you can get is just to hold it on your cold wallet or on your own hot wallet.
One more, since we haven't given the audience a show in 3 days, I want to talk about is Cosmos. Now, a lot of APR is being offered on Cosmos, right? And so that's a good and a bad thing. Polkadot had the same situation in the last bull run. That means there's demand for the network, but be careful, okay? Be very careful because Cosmos is one really that goes hot and cold, really, really big time. But you might start watching Cosmos, put that on your watch list, and have that maybe in your portfolio as well for the short term. Gamble. Coinbase, I notice, is offering, if you sign up for the free Coinbase, 20% APR on it. Why are they doing that? Because there's a high demand right now for the network. And so that means there will probably be a nice pump on Cosmos at the very beginning of when the bull run really, guys, I think my prediction, and I don't want to say that I'm 100% positive on this, is late summer, early fall, we're going to have a nice run here. And that's going to be an opportunity right now if you've been DCAing to really take some profit. Might come before that. And then there's going to be some up and down periods. And then 2024 through 2025 is when you're going to see some nice stuff. Now, remember, one last thing I wanted to say, there will be bad moments during the bull run. If you've never been in a bull run, just understand it's not all rainbows and pots of gold.
Yeah, if Elon Musk tweets about the environmental risks of Bitcoin, you're going to lose at least 20% overnight. But yeah, I mean that's goes back to what we talked about earlier, is having that stability in your and if you're constantly
taking profits and you're ready to go, you could take advantage of that 50, because what happens normally, guys, is when Bitcoin goes down 15%, the alts will go down. And then all of a sudden, guess what? Maybe, you know, Avalanche is at, let's hope it gets this high again, at 100, and then it goes back down to 75. Well, guess what you can do? You can, not financial advice, get in at 75 and ride it back to 100, take profits. And you can continually take profits during the process. So at the end, you've really maximized, hopefully, your return. We're trying to give you our lessons so you don't make the same mistake. So if you're new, congratulations.
And if they wanted
to, going to be great for you, hopefully.
If they wanted a percentage, like, how are you building yours? Because if I'm building back today and I'm going to tell you what I'm looking at, here's how I'm going to start. I'm going to go, instead of saying, you know, 50% of my portfolio is just Bitcoin, which everybody tries to say you should do. I know this is a volatile market, right? But I feel like there's more stability in other coins in the top 10.
So I would definitely have, like we talked about, the ETH and the BTC. I think it's also important to have some of your portfolio on the side.
I feel like your first 50% could be blue chips, right?
Yeah,
Like you
definitely.
could go with Bitcoin, ETH, and then one that you mentioned, and I know you're not going to like this, but you could also include Cardano in that. Because during the last bull run, they were basically a stable coin. When everything else was falling, they stayed right around $1, right? And so they provided some stability as well.
I'm not
and
against
then
Cardano.
they had those 3 to 5x runs where you could go in and take those profits and
look. I'm not against Cardano, and I'll tell you why. Even though the SEC thinks they're a security, it's not been proven, so it's not a fact. Cardano is still available almost everywhere, and I would be shocked if they did not get to $1, right? So yeah, Cardano is not a horrible buy.
And that's another thing is knowing that it hung out right at $1 during the last bull run, knowing that they've been developing this and working on this, not to get into too much hero worship, but Charles is a decent leader of that crypto company. So they've got a lot going for them, and they're going to probably get back to $1, maybe even higher, and stabilize there. So I think that's one of the blue chips, and that's the way I'm going to build. Is my 50% stability is going to be from blue chip cryptos, and then from there I'm going to reach down the list between 20 and 50 for my next maybe 30 or 40%, and then that last 10 I'm going headhunting.
Yeah,
I'm looking for those weird coins that might 100x and may also.
If you wanted to play it safe, and I'll play it safe. I don't want to say the Cardano is the safest, but if you put theoretically, not financial advice, $1,000 into Cardano today, and I think it can get to $1 sometime early in 2024, maybe at the end of. It wouldn't shock me if it got there actually at the end of this year, depending on how Bitcoin goes, but probably sometime 2024, that 1,000 could turn into 3,500 pretty easily. And I'm just saying, all-time high is not $1, right? The all-time high is way above that. Cardano got to $3.10. So I think $1 is very reasonable. And again, no guarantees in crypto, but yeah. Okay. I think Cardano is a safe path technically, because I don't think, as much as they've talked about these things being securities, I don't think this is going to be set in stone until after the next bull run. So yeah, that's a good one. I'll give you guys one more, and we're in a giving mood that I think no one talks about anymore. It is a blue chip, but it's been dead for a long time, and I think it's going to do well at some point early on in the next bull run. Is Chainlink.
You mentioned Cosmos too. Everybody builds on Cosmos, or at least a lot of people do. But Chainlink is one of those ones.
And that's not what I would hold, guys. Chainlink has these rapid runs, and then it goes dormant for a long time. So that one you have to take profits. But it has been down for a long time.
Oracle play. That's really good. That's another way to build your portfolio as well. You don't want to be too much into one thing. Like you don't want to be too heavy into layer ones. You don't want to be too heavy into Web3 or NFTs.
And you don't want to be too heavy into just small.
It is good to focus in on some of the things you believe in. Like I believe in music and video game NFTs. That I love video games as an investment. It's akin to
and we talked about again,
right?
Audius and Engine.
People are going to buy it, those two. Right? Yeah. And so, but we had a good question from David here, and I want to get to that. It says, "Did anyone get an email yesterday about an objection change?" Said claim asserted against an incorrect debtor. I haven't seen anything about that, but now I am definitely going to look into it because I'm interested in anything going on with Voyager.
I'm checking my email. I normally get the Voyager emails right away on the first day compared to some people. I'm not seeing one. And as far as I know, they're continuing withdrawals today. So I would not worry about that.
Yeah, they restarted the withdrawals. And again, they are processing very slowly. Like my very small USDC withdrawal took over, I think, almost 2 hours. And then my BTC, it took over a day. I'm almost a day and a half. So, have a little bit of patience. Go do something that takes your mind off of crypto for a little bit and come back and be.
Except for watching the show, obviously. Yes. Make sure and you tell your friends, hit the subscribe button. One last thing, Mr. FOMO.
And we have somebody who wants to hook up with us on live show too. So we'll get in touch with Mozart after this and see what's going on. He also has a channel.
One last thing. really quickly. Someone talked about closing their Voyager account. Now, remember, guys, this is just the beginning of the wind down. Do not close your account. Remember, FTX Alameda mediation starts sometime this fall. Who knows? But there's still a lot that can be returned. When I say a lot, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but do not close your Voyager account. Okay?
That's a good point, because there were a lot of people on Twitter yesterday saying, is this the day that I'm finally done with Voyager forever? And I kept telling them, no, you're not done. You've got to stick this out into the fall at least, because there might be another distribution. You might get, if 440 million comes through, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's another 22%.
And even if they get half,
you want to be around for that, right?
Yeah, and they withheld well over 100 million, actually over 140 million. Hopefully, get some of that back too. So just stay tuned. Do not close your Voyager account, okay? But yes, I saw there was a rumor about the objection about the name Voyager Holdings versus Voyager Digital. But David, I don't think that's keeping them from doing the withdrawals. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I saw that on Twitter, but I do not believe that's going to halt withdrawals. Now, if it does, we will keep you guys updated. Absolutely. Still waiting. Yeah. Luckily, my stuff got out of there. As MrFOMO was going live, I was working on doing my withdrawals because I was on vacation. But we'll see. Great question, David. Listen, guys. No. Great point. Yeah, Jamie asked, would it be a crypto or a check? So I will get back with the administrator on that. At first, they told us it was going to be USDC. Then they told us to check. Now they're not 100% sure. So I will reach out to the administration and I'll have that answer for you guys.
Well, it would have to be either USDC or USD. They wouldn't be able to hold it. It's got to be one or the other. Would be fluctuating.
It's got to be one or the other. My guess is after all the issues they've had with USDC, maybe they just make it cash. Remember, they don't have a bank right now they're working with, so they have to get that situated first. But we will have to wait and see. USDC would be easier for them in terms of, but also there's been a lot of people that have been complaining about how slow the process is. So great question. I will follow up and get that answer. Guys, this has been a really long show. We're going to keep the shows going day to day. Hopefully either me or MrFOMO or both of us every single day. If you have not done so, you got to hit that subscribe button, guys, because we're just getting started this summer. For MrFOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have a great day.
See you, everybody.